we don't go out there to, take any kind of stuff from anyone, and we are international cricketers as well, so we're not come here to participate, and they should know that, and we need to let them know that, be it in any.
He averages above 50 in every single.
What a shot to meet that full delivery.
Cheesy. He just knows what their target is. He finishes games. He doesn't like to leave them for somebody else.
He's going to do it again. We're going to lose another one because of Kohli.
Ball
He'll get
makes it to
kicked
the
over
road.
a billion up. He'll be
His
pretty good.
25th Test match century. His 7th versus Australia.
Now just listen to this reception that the Indian captain is receiving here at Edgbaston.
It was pretty simple, actually. We grew up in a housing society, and people were always together, always, friends spending time with each other, just being kids, really, just having fun in life and just enjoying life every day. And yeah, it was a beautiful time.
How would you describe the rented house that you grew up in?
I think it was around when I was 13 or maybe 14 years old when we started staying on rent. And I remember that because my brother wanted to set up a business, and we had to sort of get the finances going, and we didn't have anything, so we had to get rid of our house and put in money into the business and stay on rent from there. And then the business boomed, and then it collapsed, and the situation became really difficult. So yeah, those early years of me getting to play for the state team, which is the Delhi team, in age group cricket. So we have what do you call under 15 level, then the under 17s, then the under 19s. So all that time we were staying on a rented place, and it's actually a very tricky time to remember, because you're not really sure whether you want to make it professionally or not. You suddenly realize the competition that's around you, and you have to outperform everyone and then to play eventually for your country. So yeah, that was a tough time. I mean, we a few people who we trusted sort of breaking your trust. That's the reason why most things fail, because you trust people and then they betray you of sorts. And then the recovery was very difficult, because you take a lot of effort and time to set up something, and then it collapses, and then you don't have the resources to establish anything again. So I remember that time being very volatile. It was something that all of us felt was very tough to be able to find resources. We lost my father as well. After I was 17, just turned 18, and I was playing my first year of first-class cricket. So first-class cricket in India is the highest level of state cricket, and after that you start playing for your second level Indian team, and then eventually the Indian team. So I was at that level, and it was my breakthrough year. What I learned from my dad was, as you can understand, in junior level cricket and coming up in any institution, you have a lot of things happening around selection and people being favored and doing the wrong things, and it's a lot of manipulation happens in terms of the important people getting their way and stuff like that. So we faced that as well, and there were many instances when I was growing up when literally my father was told that if you want your child selected or something like that, you'll have to do a few things to get him there.
Meaning what?
Meaning, doing a few favors for people, or just entertaining people for the sake of it and stuff like that. And he was a self-made man, and he thought, no, this is not the right thing to do. I'm not going to entertain someone just so that my son can play state cricket. If he is good enough, he's going to make it on his ability, and if not, so be it. And because he was so strong and self-made, that taught me a lot of things, because had he chosen the wrong path for me, I would have become a guy who looks for excuses, because you learn everything from looking at what your parents do and the example they set. So I would have become a guy who looks for excuses, maybe could never reach the highest level. So what that taught me was to just believe in yourself, believe in your performances, and that's the only thing that will always speak for you. So those were the most important teachings for me growing up, to see the right thing happening in front of my eyes, and purely because we didn't also have the resources to do anything which was, outrageous or extravagant, that taught you the values of life. To do online share trading, and that was something that became quite a big thing back then when in 2006 when he started doing it. And then, as I said, the business side of things wasn't doing well for my brother. The house was on rent, and then his online share trading account suddenly crashed. So one transaction went really bad, and all the transactions that he'd done before that and whatever he had accumulated sort of went down in a go. So he really the amount of stress it brought onto him mentally was huge. So he had a stroke, he had a clot form in his brain. I didn't know it because I was playing my first season and I was at practice, and I was coming back from practice, and I reached the house, and then my cousin's sister was there, and I asked her where everyone is, and she's like, no, they've just gone for a regular checkup. I was like, why would everyone in the house go for a regular checkup? This doesn't seem right. Why is she the only one sitting at home? So I asked her where they are. She told me they're at this place, and I was like, take me there. So we went there, and then I saw him, you know, in a situation that I'd never seen him before. And
What was the situation?
Because it was a stroke in the brain, he wasn't able to react in the normal manner. You know, his body was moving in a funny way, and he was not able to figure out where he is, like the way he looked at people as well. It was like he lost total sense of what's going on. So I saw him like that, and then they took him to the operation theater, and then it was a very difficult time because they did the operation, then he came back home, and then he was in rehab, but I saw him, left side of his body got paralyzed, left side vision also got compromised, and he was just not able to communicate that well, even with the family members anymore, and you know, couldn't do anything by himself. People had to pick him up and take him to the toilet, and there he was, a self-made man. You know, he would just, in the house, if something went wrong, he wouldn't call anyone, he'd just open the socket, the electric socket, and just start fixing things himself. So he was that self-made, and he wasn't dependent on anyone. So for a person like that to go through that, he couldn't handle it after a while, and then eventually after a couple of weeks of rehab, he got a cardiac arrest.
And you were there?
I was
that
batting
night.
actually. I was playing a game, and we were playing one of these 4-day games, which used to happen at the first class level, and I was supposed to resume batting the next day. And this happened around 2:30 or 3 in the morning, and we all woke up and we had no idea what to do, and he was gone by the time we woke up, and I literally saw him take his last breath in front of me. And I tried to pump his chest and all that, nothing worked. And then there were a few doctors around in that area that we lived in. We went to their place. No one opened the door because it was 3 in the morning. We couldn't get any response, and then we drove him to the hospital. But by the time they tried electric shocks and everything, all those kind of things, but nothing worked. He couldn't recover at all. So my sister and my brother and my mother, they all broke down, and funnily enough, I couldn't cry at all. There was no emotion coming out of me, and I just became blank. I couldn't register what just happened.
Why do you think that was?
I have no idea. Till date, I can't understand. And I was feeling like I was myself thinking, why am I not able to cry? And then I think it was all building up inside me. So when we came back, and everyone, all the relatives came in to sort of, you know, pay their condolences and stuff like that. And then I called my coach in the morning, and I asked him, or I told him what had happened. And then he asked me, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go and play. So he said, are you sure? And I was like...
Because you had a game that day.
Yeah, and for me, leaving a cricket match was something which was not accepted, regardless of what happened in life. Not going to a match was not an option I ever had, or I couldn't register that option in my mind. So I said, I'm going to go. And he said, okay, if that's your decision, go ahead. So I left the house. I hadn't cried at all, nothing, no emotion. And my family was actually feeling a bit nervous looking at me because I was showing no emotion, and everyone was like, you know, crying, and they were emotional. And then I went to the game, and I picked up a friend of mine again, and I told him what had happened. He thought I was joking, he didn't believe me. We kept going, we reached the stadium, and when we reached the stadium and I sat in the change room, and he told everyone what had happened. So when everyone came around me to tell me, we're sorry for you, and that's the time I really broke down, and you know, that's the time all that emotion came out, and I don't know why.
The strangest part of the whole story to me was that night when you called your coach back and you were upset. he was surprised that you weren't upset about what he would have thought it was about. You were upset about your performance in the game.
I was upset because I was the umpire in the game made a wrong decision and he gave me out when I wasn't out. And I was upset because I couldn't be there till the end to make my team win the game. And I was really upset about that. So yeah, in the evening he was surprised to know that I was actually talking about that.
Especially now, many years removed from having gone through that, how do you think your father's passing affected you?
Now I feel like it was probably the most impactful thing that happened in my life. Because I remember that day, I came back from the game. After I got out, I came back to do the cremation and all the rituals that follow. And I remember telling my brother specifically that I am going to play for my country and I am going to play this game at the highest level, and there's nothing else in life that can distract me anymore. Because it was my father's vision as well. He wanted me to play at the highest level, and he was really, really keen on me playing at the highest level as well. So I remember making that promise to my brother, and then everything in life became second priority after that incident, and cricket was the first priority.